Hey everybody, I am back with a new trailer reaction. Earlier this morning, they just released the new Captain America movie trailer starring Sam Wilson, Captain America, set sometime right after the TV show, which for most moments, it's not the worst I've seen. There's been some doozies of Disney Plus shows since then. Uh, but it had its moments. But I'll get to that in a second. But I just want to check out the trailer and give my overall thoughts about that. And because I did a spoiler review of each episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier up on my YouTube channel. It's one of my earliest reviews, at the time when I was trying to do episode by episode of my thoughts. But then after a certain period, it's just been easier just to go through a full blown entire season and give my overall thoughts. It saved me a lot of time. But anyway, let's check out the video. Full screen. And here we go.
Wilson. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for the invite, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look.
They said lose the mustache or lose the election. You and I haven't always agreed in the past, but I want to make another run at making Captain America an official military position.
And if we disagree on how to manage this situation, then what happens?
Work with me, Sam. We'll show the world a better way forward.
Sir, your inner circle's been compromised. Either you can't see that, or you don't want to. What if it's a trap?
Global power is shifting. You're just a pawn.
You may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers.
You're right. I'm not.
Oh, wow. They actually went with the Red Hulk thing. Wow. Yeah. Now, first and foremost, I like to say I like Sam Wilson's Captain America. I think, by and large, he is a good. Well, in the comics, there's been many people who took up the mantle of Captain America. A year ago, I did a Captain America mini event comic book review, which is up on my YouTube channel. It's called The United States of Captain America, and it has like many different facets of people who took up the mantle of Captain America, who represents a good pieces of the melting pot that represents America in a particular way. And I thought that was like a very cool story. They even had U.S. Agent, which don't know if they gonna bring up U.S. Agent in this film or not, because he's definitely gonna be in the Thunderbolts movie. Now, I'm glad they bring back Isaiah Bradley now, because he was one of the few parts in Falcon and Winter Soldier that was very good, that brought up about underrated comic that I also did a review on, about the first Black Captain America and how he was like there during WW2, but a certain part of the war long after Captain America was, already established and fighting the war on a different front, but he never knew about Isaiah Bradley until the modern day, long after he was unfrozen and became an Avenger and all this other stuff. Then he was like highly upset at how the government treated this war hero, and it was so disgusted by that, and just it ended in like a very sweet moment between Isaiah Bradley and Steve Rogers at the end of the comic book, which I highly recommend you guys check out. Red, White, and Black, and that's the comic book event name, and it touches on a lot of serious stuff, which the TV show touched on as well. Now, some people had certain complaints about how they went about certain characters in the TV show, which I agree to a certain extent. They just have not been, because was like a precursor. Now, you could have blamed COVID for a lot of stuff, the way they was trying to push the shows, and they prioritize quantity over quality, so they cut a little corners here and there, and they didn't get all their ducks in a row to make everything line up properly to fit the whole multiverse narrative with Kang and his machinations, and that eventually probably just fell through altogether, and didn't help with the whole situation with Jonathan Majors. I already get my thoughts on that subject, which is up on the channel, so you can listen to that. But there are certain parts that was good, certain parts is not. Most of the parts that a lot of people did not, like the fact that how Sam Wilson was treated, because it's getting kind of annoying. I thought about making like a short TikTok video about this, but I figured I'll just talk about it here. The way they treated Sam Wilson, Captain America, from where we first saw him in the Winter Soldier movie, where he seems like, very cheerful, optimistic, not to the same degree as like Steve Rogers, but a fair amount. He was joking. He is like, easygoing kind of thing. But in the TV show, they played it, him, like a reluctant hero kind of thing. Like, I'm not worthy of picking up the mantle of Captain America because how America treated black people, and they could touch on those themes, but it's getting kind of annoying with this whole reluctant hero. Just be okay being a hero. Enjoy the fact that you can help people and stuff like that instead of being bogged down. And because the whole entire show was very cynical in certain parts, and it was eye rolling in certain cases. But it's okay to touch on the serious notes about how black people was treated in America, and it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. I think they handled it fine enough, but they kind of crescendoed downward when that little weird speech Sam Wilson had at the end, and I don't know, it didn't come across as genuine. It's very like Saturday morning cartoon, where it's like it's more complicated than, I don't know, his speeches needed a little touch up, because the way they gave, like how the Captain America speeches, Steve Rogers speeches are written seems, on a whole nother level, where Sam Wilson did not rise to that level. He's trying, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just, he's trying to get off like inspirational, and he's not quite there yet. It's like you need to workshop that a little bit in terms of rousing speeches that get people like, you want to march into battle with you kind of situation. You get that with Steve, but not with Sam yet. And the costume in the show was a little awkward in certain places. They try to make it look like, what it was in the comics back in the day. But I think in this costume, it is a lot better. And then they bring in the Red Hulk. Now, I'm glad they bring in Red Hulk, but I think Red Hulk should have been like sort of like the Captain America Winter Soldier, like an Avengers 2.5 kind of thing, where because in the comics when Red Hulk was first introduced, he was dealing with he was fighting a lot of Avengers, as I fairly recall, because it's been many years, because I haven't read that story since I was in college. There's been a many years long time when it was like a mystery. It was a mystery on who the Red Hulk is, and it's like after a certain point you kind of picked on it's gotta be Ross. It's just, but they took away the mustache, trying to like, oh, that's like a red herring kind of situation. But like with other movies, they have to, because Universal doesn't want Marvel to have their own little solo Hulk film, or at least Marvel or Disney have their own little solo Hulk film. So they just relegated him to showing up Hulk type characters, showing up as like co-partner to the other MCU hero, so that way you can get away with introducing a Hulk type themes to a particular story that involved him, which is annoying to a lot of people, because if you want to bring in like a Hulk movie, introducing Red Hulk is ideal. But I love Harrison Ford. It's like you legit did complain that you didn't want to be a part of a franchise anymore with Star Wars and begged to be killed off, which eventually you got your wish. But then you got on board to a Marvel franchise, which probably got another, several years underneath this belt, as long as they play their freaking cards right and, prioritize quality and not shoving in DI crap every little which way that's, soulless and manufactured. But like, why would you get a part of something like that that's going to be, sure, like you're not going to be in every little thing, at least maybe at the most cameos, until like the bigger, Avengers level threats. That's where you get more time on screen. But you're getting up there in years. I think at a certain point, like, I love you. You're an incredible actor. Your record is solidified and your reputation is solidified. Nobody can touch your star. But it's time for you to like quietly bow out. I know you want to bow out. We all know. So I think it behooves Marvel to have looked for somebody else to take up the mantle of Thunderbolt Ross that can do this for a handful of years, because this is like an action type of thing. Sure, it's CGI Hulk. He ain't gonna be actually doing the moves, but still though, you could have gotten somebody else to do this. But we'll see how it turns out coming out next February. I hope that, because this been through, at least quite a few reshoots, and once again, Marvel's dealing with obscene amount of budget, because it's like $300 million in the budget, and by some people's estimate, in order to turn a profit, they have to get close to $1 billion in the box office in order to turn a profit from this film. And first and foremost, Hollywood got to understand that not every movie needs to break $1 billion to turn a profit. You could just be satisfied it made money anyway, as long as it went, you got back from the box office from what you put in with the budget. That should be like enough of a success on its own, and be happy with that. But this is like $300 million. It balloons too much, and this is running the same problem the Marvels did, and same way with Ant-Man 3. You don't need to make that much. You don't need to request that much money for a movie that, I mean, it makes better sense if it's an Avengers film, sure, because it's, you know, have too many people involved that requires a bigger budget. Ant-Man doesn't need $300 million. The Marvels doesn't need $300 million. And I definitely don't think something like Captain America needs $300 million for their budget. It needs probably half of that. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just too much. And people are getting very skeptical. And I'm just giving my overall opinion to you. The God honest truth. This is too much. You have to scale back your budget. That's why you get into the trouble that you are, because, you know, the reshoots does not help. And I get it. The reshoots tend to happen, but not to the level that like certain movies in Marvel have been doing in the past couple of years at this point. Is kind of, you know, getting redundant at a certain point. And you can't blame it on COVID. You blame it on anybody but yourselves. And like, oh, and then they'll try to spin this. If it doesn't do well, which some people theorize it might not do well by the time it comes out, they'll probably spin it saying like, oh, people just didn't show up because they don't think a black man can be Captain America, or wherever rhetoric they kind of spin, try to get ahead of it, so that way if it doesn't do well, they don't have to worry about taking responsibility on their part for the ballooning of the budget or the potentially crappy writing or like shoddy CGI. They can always just like point the blame at the audience that did not show up for whatever reason. And God forbid that they might have fault on their own, and that's why people choose not to show up, because your track record, especially when it comes to Star Wars recently, has not been doing well. And you guys really need to go back to the drawing board. But anyway, those are my just quick thoughts. This is kind of like a slash discussion video, but that is the Captain America Brave New World. It's like, yeah. But let me know what you guys think of the trailer. Leave a comment below, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.